welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into a fascinating ancient story from the Buddhist scriptures,
That's right. It's called the Aññataritthīvatthu.
which means basically the story of a certain woman. It's from the Dhammapada commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And our goal, really, our mission for you listening, is to use this story, use it as a kind of lens.
A lens to see why different places, different environments appeal so differently to different people.
Exactly. We want to unpack the narrative, dig into the wisdom it holds about things like attachment, detachment.
And ultimately, finding peace. It's surprisingly relevant.
So we're drawing mainly from this commentary, maybe touching on slightly different versions, but focusing on this core story.
It sets up a really interesting contrast right from the start. You have the specific setting.
Okay, yeah, let's picture it. There's this old garden, a Jinayana, outside a city, maybe a bit neglected,
Not necessarily the prime spot everyone flocks to.
Right. And in this garden, there's a monk.
Ah.
He's deep in meditation.
Focused on samatha dhamma, tranquility meditation. He got his specific meditation subject, his kamaikana, directly from the Buddha.
And the Buddha himself is back at the Jetavana monastery at this time. So you've got this scene, quiet monk, quiet garden.
And then disruption arrives.
Yeah. A woman from the city comes into the picture. She's described as a Nagara Sabini Iti.
Someone who adorns the city, likely beautiful, probably used to a more vibrant scene.
And she's not there for a stroll. She's frustrated.
Right. The text says she'd arranged to meet a man there, but so Pearson Nagachi, the guy didn't show. He stood her up.
Ah, okay. We can all relate to that feeling, right? Plans go wrong, you're annoyed.
Totally. So she's looking for him, probably getting more irritated, and she wanders into the same garden.
And splats the monk.
Yes, sees him sitting there meditating. Palacha abujitva nisina, seated cross-legged.
And she jumps to a conclusion.
She thinks, Ay Purseva, this must be the guy.
Okay, so what does she do? Does she ask him?
No, her approach is, well, it's quite direct, but in a completely different way. She tries to get his attention, tries to seduce him, essentially.
How?
The text describes her repeatedly taking off and putting on her outer garment, her nivathasaka, letting her hair down, tying it back up.
Wow, okay. Very overt.
And even clapping her hands and laughing, Pachipaharittvasati, trying anything to provoke a reaction, assuming it's the reaction she expects from the man she was supposed to meet.
It's such a clash with the monk's whole vibe, his whole purpose for being there.
Exactly. And his reaction is key here.
What happens inside him?
He doesn't feel desire. Instead, he experiences this powerful sense of agitation, even revulsion. It's called savego.
Savega, like a spiritual urgency or shock?
Yeah, kind of inner jolt. It's a savego upajitva sakala sarita fari. This feeling arises and just spreads through his whole body.
And he thinks,
Kinukuidat? Like, what on earth is this? It's a recognition that something is deeply disturbing his cultivated peace.
that's fascinating. It wasn't temptation, but a recognition of incompatibility, a disturbance.
Precisely. His training, his focus on detachment, made him incredibly sensitive to this kind of, sensual display rooted in attachment and frustration. It fundamentally clashed with his state of mind.
So his years of practice prepared him for this moment, just not in the way the woman intended.
Absolutely. And it's right at this critical point.
The Buddha steps in, even though he's miles away.
Yes. The text says the Buddha, residing in his Gandakuya, his perfumed chamber, is aware. He's checking in, you could say, on the monk's progress.
So he knows what's going down.
He does. It says he perceives the situation. Mama santika kamana tahetva samatarisamitigatasa pikuno kanukopavatitiopatarento. He sees the woman's inappropriate actions, anakarkirya, and the monk's resulting turmoil, savagopati.
And what does he do?
He communicates with the monk, right then and there, telepathically. Tenasadi katesi.
And delivers the core teaching of this whole story.
Exactly, in one powerful verse.
Okay, let's hear it. The Pali first.
Ramantyani aranyani, yetanaramati vitaragaranamassanti, natikamaгаvisinoti.
Right. Sounds profound. Let's break that down. Ramanyani Adayani.
It means forests are delightful or charming. The commentary adds detail, saying they're adorned with flowering groves, young trees, pure water, basically naturally beautiful, serene places.
Lovely. But then the twist. Yatana Ramatijano.
Where people do not delight.
Which people?
Ordinary people. Specifically, the commentary mentions Gama Makika Kamagavesako Jano, pleasure-seeking folk, those driven by sensual desires. They're compared to, flies or bees that aren't interested in a pristine lotus pond. They want something else.
They're looking for a different kind of buzz, maybe. The excitement of the city, the meeting that didn't happen.
Exactly. Their happiness is tied to that external stimulation, that sensory input. A quiet, beautiful forest just doesn't offer what they are seeking. It doesn't resonate with their inner state.
Okay, so the forest isn't inherently undelightful. It's just not delightful to them.
Precisely. But then the next line flips it. Vittagga ramasanti.
Those free from attachment will delight.
Yes. The Vittagga, those whose passions have faded, whose defilements are extinguished. The Kisava. They are the ones who will find delight in these forests.
Like the bees in the lotus pond analogy again.
Right, like Bamamatukara bees or honey makers finding sweetness there, because their inner landscape is different. They aren't ruled by craving for external excitement.
So they can appreciate the inherent peace and beauty.
Exactly. They find joy in a place that others might find boring, or even, like the woman maybe felt, frustratingly empty. Their peace is internal.
And the verse concludes by explaining why. Nate kamagavesino.
Because they are not seekers of sensual pleasures. Simple as that.
It really boils down to what you're looking for inside, doesn't it? Your inner quest dictates your outer experience.
That's the core message. The environment itself is neutral, in a way. Our desires, our level of attachment or detachment, act like a filter. It determines whether we see a place as appealing or unappealing, peaceful or agitating.
So that monk, feeling the savega, was already halfway there. The Buddha's words just crystallized it for him.
Absolutely. The teaching landed perfectly. The text says Desanavasan at the end of the teaching.
He gets it.
He more than gets it. While still sitting there, Yathanasinova, he attains arahantship, full enlightenment.
Wow.
Just like that, and gains the Paisamvida, the analytical knowledges that come with it. It shows how ready his mind was, how impactful that specific teaching was in that precise moment.
And then the story wraps up quite dramatically.
It does. He gets up, travels through the air, Kasanagantha, goes straight to the Buddha,
pays his respects, Tathagatasa Padevanditva,
and then departs. A complete transformation, visually represented. And the commentary just notes, okay, that's the end of the section on Arahant, Arahanta Bhagavananita.
So if we bring this back to our mission, the big takeaway for us, for you listening, is really about subjectivity.
Yeah. What delights you, what place feels like home or peaceful, isn't universal. It's shaped profoundly by your inner world, your desires, your attachments, or your lack thereof.
That garden was repulsive to the monk in one sense because of the woman's actions, but the forest, the principle of the quiet place, was delightful to his cultivated mind.
While for the woman, that same quiet garden was initially just an empty stage for her frustration, and the monk an obstacle or a mistaken identity. She wasn't looking for what the forest offered.
So this invites a question for you listening. Think about the gardens in your own life.
Yeah. The environments, maybe situations, relationships, even jobs that you find consistently unappealing or difficult, challenging.
Could your perspective shift? Could those places feel different if your own inner landscape changed? If you worked on, say, detachment from certain outcomes or expectations?
What delightful forests, what sources of peace or unexpected beauty might reveal themselves if your internal seeking changed? It's not about judging one type of environment as better, but understanding the connection.
It's a really provocative thought, actually. This ancient story isn't just about monks and forests. It's asking us to look at what we're truly seeking.
Are you a Kamagavesi, primarily seeking external, sensual pleasure? Or are you cultivating a state closer to Vittagga where peace can be found in stillness, in places others might overlook?
Definitely gives you something to chew on long after this deep dive. What kind of seeker are you right now?